What's up, Commanders fans? Welcome into the very first episode of the Command Post. We are so excited to be here. It's Trev, it's Brian. We have connected. We are so excited to bring you some fan content about the Commanders, a team that we all know and love. Trev, I don't know about you, man. I'm excited. I can't believe this is finally happening. Here we are.
Yes,
The
sir.
maiden voyage is underway.
Yeah, we like you said, we are here. We have arrived. We are on the scene. We've both been in the podcast game a little bit. Don't want to harp on too much about it, but you were with Believe Network. I was with Believe Network with Ref the District. You were with Rated R himself,
That's
Anthony
right.
Armstrong, former wide receiver for the Redskins. And then we just kind of went our separate ways with those podcasts. And here we are, Lincoln joining forces with the Command Post. So it's
Yeah.
going to be raw, a little unfiltered, just opinionated. Like we're ready to go.
Yeah, we're just 2 fans that are excited about this team and, ride or die, rain or shine. We know that there's been a lot of rain and there's been some good shine, but we're here for every part of it, and I'm excited, man.
Yes.
So I wanted to do this. Tell us, where did you become a fan? Have you DMV your whole life? What brought you to the team?
All right, so I'm from a small town, Southwest Virginia. I just grew up household like the Redskins, and I think around 7 or 8. I don't even know the age, but I just remember I got a Mark Rippon uniform for Christmas,
Nice.
and just wore that ever since. And then just fell in love with the team ever since. Then I started paying attention to it like once I got into college a little bit, and then after that, like the X's and O's of players and this and that, coaches, and really getting into it. But I've always been a fan, so
Good
that's my
deal.
story. Amen.
Yeah, I was born in Silver Spring, moved away when I was pretty young, lived in the South. I've been in Atlanta since I was, about 10, but I've always been burgundy and gold.
Yes,
My
sir.
dad and my grandma, went to Super Bowls, saw the glory years, so it's in my blood. So,
Right.
it's been burgundy and gold through and through. Um, I'm excited, man, and, hopefully my kids, I got 3 kids now,
Okay.
hopefully they could follow along in the footsteps, and hopefully we're talking about more Super Bowls,
Right.
when they get to be our age.
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, it's I think it's in our blood. I think when it's hard to leave. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine cheering for another team even though I've been in a couple different cities. So, it's who we are.
Yes, sir. It is who we are.
Well, what a time for us to be getting this going, man. I mean, the season is still, what, 6 months away. We're in early April, a little less than 6 months, but right now we got the draft around the corner. We just had free agency kinda wrap up, obviously still in the waves of that.
Mhm.
Uniforms are supposed to be coming out in a couple of weeks, so a lot of exciting stuff. I always say that football, especially the NFL, never sleeps,
No.
and the Commanders have been going nonstop since, the end of the 2025 season.
Yes, sir. I
So
agree. Yeah.
what are your thoughts overall on the offseason so far? I mean, there's so many different ways, to go when you talk about this free agency,
Yeah.
period. There are a bunch of different guys. I think they addressed a lot of needs. I think they're setting themselves up really nicely for the draft, but what would be one overall arching theme for you about free agency, about this team, and where they are when we're sitting here at the beginning of, the spring?
We had a lot of money, and we spent a lot of money. Um, you saw that with all of the big contracts Adam gave out. We'll get into that a little bit, but I think overall, and with all the rumors and facts coming out that we swung big on some of the big names like a Trey Hendrickson, maybe a Max Crosby, maybe Alec Pierce, stud wide
Right.
receiver from Indianapolis Colts. So it just shows that we are actually trying to win and be relevant again. We got a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? Glazed from the 2 seasons ago when we went to NFC Championship last year, 5-12 record, riddled by injury. So we got a good taste of winning and know what it looks like because it's been almost 30 years since then. So Adam Peters opened up that cash book and made it rain this offseason with some signings he got.
Yeah, they kinda tried a different way at it last year, right? They kinda tried to build off of that success and maybe get 1 or 2 guys thinking they were a player or 2 away, and maybe they were had they stayed healthy. I mean, that's a whole different story. The injuries were certainly a big part, not the only part of why last year went so poorly, but I agree. I think it kinda goes back 2 years ago. I felt like it was a very similar offseason. That was when they brought in, Bobby Wagner for the first time, Jeremy
Right.
Chin. They brought in, Zaccheaus and Ertz and those guys, and I think they kinda are reloading in a much younger fashion, which I
Yes.
think is so key. We know how old this team was last year.
Yeah.
And if you're watching with us, we'll have this up on YouTube. We'll be on all the streaming platforms. Give us
Yeah.
some grace when we're getting going there, but you can see all the names. And the best part is I don't think that there's a guy over 30 that they signed
Mhm.
new. Mariota and Wiley are a little bit older that you brought
Yeah.
back, but I don't think there's a guy over 30 that you're bringing in, and that is huge for a team that needed to get younger, needed to get faster, needed to get more athletic. And for
Mhm.
me, it's hard to pick one position. I think I can narrow it down to my 1 or 2 favorite, but the thing for me with the draft in a few weeks, I think you set yourself up to go anywhere at 7. You
Yeah.
filled a lot of holes, you added a lot of depth, and that is so key at this time of year. And you
Yep.
mentioned they had a lot of money to spend, and they still have a lot of money to spend. If they wanna go make one more move, make something happen right before, during, after the draft, they
Mhm.
still have a lot of room. Adam Peters, I think, can take a bow at this free agency period. You can see it all there.
Yeah.
Just you have to tip your cap to him.
I do. And I noticed that he went heavy defense on this free agency for the most
Mhm.
part. I mean, as I'm looking through, we signed one, two, three defensive linemen, a cornerback. I'm sorry, four defensive linemen, a cornerback, a safety, a linebacker. So last year, our injuries seemed to happen mostly on the offense side of the ball. With, of course, JD5 going out, elbow injury. Austin Eckler missing some time, pretty much the whole season. Zach Ertz missing some time at the end of the season. Terry McLaurin could never get right. But our defense was, for the most part, healthy, and we were just abysmal. Couldn't stop anything. So
Right.
they attacked the defensive side of the ball, and they went younger, like you said, which is great. Because, like you said, last year we had some fillers with some old vets, but now we got rid of those fillers and got some young guys that we can hopefully keep around for longer than a year or two. So,
Yeah, I think you're definitely lengthening your team with these acquisitions. I think you feel better about any one of these guys being out there as opposed to what was out there. No offense to those guys. I mean, they did what they were supposed to. Those that were left, it was a tough year in so many different ways. But yeah, I think you got to start with the age and the injuries.
mhm.
And on top of the defense, I think I'm excited to see what Durante Jones brings. I mean, he comes
Yes.
from the Brian Flores tree. Nothing wrong with that. So I'm excited to see how he uses them. They'll have, uh, depending on what they do in the draft, they'll have 2 or 3 young linebackers that can fly around and make plays along with Frankie Louvu. So, I think Frankie Louvu goes from maybe your best defender last year to now 3rd or 4th, and that's not
Right.
a knock on him. I think it's just it says what they've done, in this offseason period. It's so huge, and I agree. It seems like they loaded up on defense. They still
Mhm.
made some key moves on the offensive side of the ball.
Mhm.
What does this make you lean towards when it comes to the draft, or what are you thinking when it comes to that number 7 pick?
You said it earlier when we started the show. We put ourselves in position that we can go anywhere at number 7. Sonny Styles is out there, linebacker stud from Ohio State. Caleb Downs, safety out there from Ohio State. Then there's talk about Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. Seems like Ohio State's gonna be running the draft this year.
Yeah, no doubt.
Jordan Tyson from Arizona, another wide receiver. He's got some injury history with him. So, we could go anywhere, but I think according to free agency, that's tough. I could maybe see us going after an offensive weapon. I haven't even mentioned his name because I don't know if he'll be there at 7, but Jeremiah Love. I am
Yeah.
in love with Jeremiah Love, not just because, we have the 7th pick and he's a top name. I kinda watched his year this last season, and he's incredible. And Washington is lacking that explosive offensive power. No offense to what we've had. Terry McLaurin's fabulous at times. Bill last year was a rookie. He provided a little bit of a spark out of the backfield. Austin Eckler, before he got hurt, showed he was an agent's wonder. He was balling for us at the time,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we went out and got Rashad White, had a little bit younger too, but we don't have that somebody that needs the game plan for like a Saquon Barkley, like a Christian McCaffrey, like a Jameer Gibbs, Bijan Robinson. We don't have anybody like that on the offense side of the ball outside of quarterback and receiver. So I think if he's there at 7, you got to take Jeremiah Love.
I'm with you, man. I don't know if that's a hot take with him being a running back. I know that
Right.
position has I think this word has been thrown around a lot, devalued. Although
Yes.
you mentioned guys like Bijan and Christian McCaffrey and Jahmyr Gibbs, they're those teams' offense. I mean, they do have other players, but it
Right.
runs through them, and they are full on running backs. They take the majority of the snaps. You're absolutely right. As great of a story as Bill was, as some of those older veterans that you mentioned are, they're not a guy that just is jumping over people and running around people and running through people. He could be a big dynamic for this offense. He does it out of the backfield, catching the ball as well. I'm with you, man. I find it hard not to take him. I can't get my hopes up because I don't know that he's going to be there either. I see a lot of him going inside that top 5 to Tennessee, or even as a shot to the heart as it would be the Giants, even taking him at 5. But I don't see why you wouldn't take him there. I maybe have a hot take when it comes to 7 and it comes to an offensive weapon, because I agree. I think we talked about the defense. I think you're in a really good spot to where if you rolled out with who you have there, you feel okay. You feel like you will definitely be improved, and you could potentially put a solid defense out there.
For sure.
I think that it speaks to an offensive weapon as well. To me, though, if Jeremiah Love is not there, I'm not taking one of the receivers. I'm not
Okay.
sure that I consider them one of the top 10
Right.
best players. I think they
Okay.
might be one of the best receivers. I think Carnell Tate is very solid. I think Tyson that you mentioned, there's also Lemon from USC.
Mhm.
I think they're all solid. Would
Right.
they be top 10 players on an island? I don't think so.
I don't think
And
so either.
so for me, I think even though you've addressed safety, you got Cross,
Mhm.
in there. You brought back Jeremy Reeves.
Mhm.
You seem to be excited about Will Harris. I mean, you could go down, same thing with linebacker Chenal,
Oh, yeah.
bringing back, obviously Frankie Luvu.
Yeah.
They're excited about Jordan McGee. We know what they did at the edge. I would still take one of those guys, because I think when you have a top 10 pick, I think to me, it truly should be the best player available. That's why, Jeremiah Love might seem like a luxury, but if he is the best
Right.
player, if he is the top player on your board, you take
You take
uh,
him.
I
Split.
think yeah, exactly. I think the only position that really wouldn't make sense for this team is quarterback and offensive lineman, and I don't think that they're right there in that top 10 spot, and to
No.
me, I think the receivers are kinda being talked about because it's kind of a not a weaker, but that's not one of the strong spots of the draft, or maybe the depth is there for later rounds.
Yeah,
I'm
for
not a
sure.
draft guru through and through, I have to admit, but I do feel like taking a Downs, taking a David Bailey, even taking a Ruben Bain would make more sense to me than taking one of those receivers.
I agree, because like you said, I just don't see those receivers that can come in and maybe perhaps take over the role of Terry McLaurin.
Right.
Um, I don't know how much longer he has left in Washington. That whole this past ordeal, this whole summer with the contract ordeal, kind of left some lingering wounds for me personally. I don't see him staying for the 3 years that he signed for. I think he might be gone sooner than that. So I don't see a
Yeah.
receiver in the draft that's worth a top 10 pick that could possibly succeed his spot as wide receiver 1 when his time is done in Washington. No slight to them, they're great guys.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Amari Cooper, I like him from Indiana, I love him. He had what, like, no drops, caught almost everything, was, like, w top 2 and 3 in FBS records and his stats or whatever for his position, so I like him later rounds, and if we wanna get a receiver, you could have addressed that later in the draft or free agency still, but I just don't see any receiver that's worth number 7 in this draft.
Yeah, I think 71 when you pick again in the 3rd round would be a really good spot to maybe grab somebody who fell
Mhm.
receiver-wise. It's hard when we talk about a playmaker like Jeremiah Love and wanting a guy like that. It's what we've basically talked about this whole time.
Yeah.
Do we see Carnell Tate as the next Jamar Chase? Is he the next Justin Jefferson?
No.
Probably not. And I think that you're closer to finding, the next Kyle Hamilton, the next,
Mhm.
big time pass rusher,
Mhm.
than you are finding the receiver at that position. So, maybe I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth because I want the best player available. I wanna
Yeah.
address needs, but I think that there are ways that you can go about that other than wide receiver. I mean, I've seen Carnell Tate be mocked there a lot. You can only go based
Right.
off of mock drafts because who knows how it's gonna shake out. I think this
Mhm.
draft is really gonna this is really a wild card draft. Like, I mean, I've seen Caleb Downs go all the way down to 16, which I don't know how
Yeah.
he falls out of the top 10. But there are all kinds of ways this draft can go. To me, though, I think that you're better off taking one of those defensive guys from Ohio State, maybe even Mansour Delane. You could
Oh,
get
yeah.
another corner to pair with your young dynamic duo of Sandra Still and Trey Amos.
Yep.
So there are a bunch of different ways you can go that I would go before wide receiver, and that's why I'm not a draft guru, but that's me speaking as a guy that's seen this team, and also maybe it's some PTSD. The last two wide receivers taken in the first round,
Yeah.
Dotson and Doxson, and those are names that are fresh open wounds at this point.
No lie. But like we said earlier, it's great that 2 years ago we were in a position to get a quarterback and we got one, Jaden Daniels. 2 years later, we're in a position at 7 that we could get. There's 10 studs, top 10 for sure, and
I
at
agree.
7 we can go no wrong, just not wide receiver personally.
Yeah,
Outside
I
of that
agree.
position, you just can't go wrong. Offensive line,
So
wide receiver.
I think it's mock draft season, especially we're getting 3 weeks away. I've seen talking about the Commanders moving back. Does somebody
Yeah.
really wanna move up? There's only really one quarterback I think that a team would move up for. That would be Mendoza, who we all think is going number 1 overall. Where does
Mhm.
Ty Simpson fit in? I ask all that. What would your thought be? How would you feel if they did trade back? Let's say they ended up somewhere in the early teens, the 12, 13, 14 range. What are your thoughts there, and what would it take? What would your compensation need to be for you to feel comfortable with that move?
Wow, man. See, I haven't even thought about that scenario much just because we're still so far out, but that is a good scenario. I don't even know who we would go after the top 10. I haven't really paid attention to it that much. I'm not a draft guru either.
Yeah,
But if somebody wanted our pick and we wanted their 13th pick just because we noticed that somebody's sliding down the board, oh man, you gotta throw a player in there, right? You think?
that would be nice. I mean,
Uh,
you can use all the names that you can get. I mean, we're talking about a team that really struggled, is still reeling from Ron Rivera's lack of
yeah.
drafting well. You only have 6 picks, no second rounder. I mean, another pick or at least a player would definitely have to be in there.
Yes, that's tough because we don't have that many draft picks. We don't have a lot of stuff to dangle out there for that to happen, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm not Adam Peters, I'm
Yeah.
not Dan Quinn, I'm not a draft guru, but
I think to me, it would have to kinda be a math problem, right? So let's say, out of nowhere, Ty Simpson does jump up there and a team wants their quarterback and they go get him, and then maybe an offensive line. Maybe you're starting to realize that Downs, Bailey, Bain, those guys are gonna drop to where
yeah.
you're in love with all of them, and you realize even if I move back a little bit, I'm guaranteed, quote, unquote, "guaranteed" a chance to get one of those guys, maybe I do let a team move up. Say Jeremiah Love is gone.
Right.
I don't know, but then as I'm talking about it, what are they moving up for? So
Yeah.
I don't know that it's a realistic scenario, but you never know what can happen when those that sound happens and 10
Mhm.
minutes are on the clock.
Yeah, because I mean, our board could look completely different, and then on draft night, it can be completely different just like that, just based on all the madness and chaos. So we don't know. But a month out, I'm saying don't move. We're at 7, guys. Don't move. This isn't this is a draft I think it's full of depth and not full of day ones. Top 10 day ones. Outside of that, it's nothing but a depth draft, I think. And I don't think we're in a position to really do that. We got number 7. Just go get a playmaker and let's ride.
Yeah. What would your scenario be? I saw this in one spot, and again, I don't know what it would take. What would your thought be about moving up to potentially make sure you get Jeremiah Love?
Hey, I thought about now that's one I have thought about. And
Okay.
because I don't want to see him waste away in Tennessee. No offense.
I agree, man. No, I agree.
The workhorse. He's going to be the offensive focal point literally at in Tennessee. So they're going to ask a lot of him from there. Giants, just because I hate the Giants, NFC East rival. They already have Scatterbo. Him and Scatterbo in the backfield with another year of Jackson Dart and then Malik Neighbors healthy again. No offense, but that's something to pay attention to. Kind of scary. I'm going to 5. I'll go up to either Titans or Giants. I would do that to get love. And if I have to do that and I have to do a player, I'll you can take 71, our next pick, and you can take oh man, Deron Payne. I know everybody is Deron Payne's a huge name out there. He's one of the last Ron Rivera guys. He's very, very expensive. And to be quite honest and frank, his money does not match his production on the field after that first year when he had, I think, what, 10 and
Yeah.
a half sacks with Jonathan Allen. But that's a sexy name, and to get us to that Titan spot or Giant spot, I guess, to get
Yeah.
Love, that and 71 and then something else too.
Yeah, who knows if that's realistic? I mean, there's the one side where we're talking about only 6 picks. You
Yeah.
had to do all of this maneuvering in free agency to really even fill out your roster. Does it make sense to trade? I don't know. But if
No.
you love a guy, you gotta go get him. To
You
me,
do?
you gotta go get him. And if
Yeah.
they love Jeremiah Love, no pun intended, but if
Mhm.
they love this dude as much as it seems like they do, that's the one scenario I think I'm okay with.
I agree with you. I'm
The
with you on
the
that one.
The only thing is I think it costs you a first rounder next year, and I've heard as much as I'm not a draft guru, the
Mhm.
2027 draft is supposed to be sweet. But if Jeremiah Love is taking you deep into the playoffs with Jaden Daniels and you're
Right,
picking in the
then I don't
20s,
yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Right,
Uh,
yeah, same. I
money's
don't wanna
nothing
already be
guaranteed,
looking
but
at
you
next
gotta
year's
go
draft.
for it.
Exactly, yeah. Next
Yeah.
year's draft can come and go. Hopefully, we'll be picking 32.
Yeah, absolutely, always, that's the goal. So, let's say everything is available to you, Adam Peters
Yep.
calls you up, Trev, it's April 23rd, the
Okay.
first round is down, pick 7 is available, let's
Yep.
pretend that none of the players have been taken. What is your ideal scenario at 7 for the Commanders if you're in
Oh,
charge?
Jeremiah Love.
Okay.
You said none of our players that we like are taken. Jeremiah Love. Um, no offense to the defensive guys. I think Caleb Downs is a stud. I think Sonny Styles can be a stud. Ruben Bain, he can be probably a stud too if he wants to. David Bailey, but Jeremiah Love, man, we just turn on his tape. You don't even have to watch Notre Dame football or college football that much, and just turn on one highlight and be like, "Yo, is he going number one?"
Right.
So Jeremiah Love, that's we need offensive explosion. We gotta take some of that pressure and dependency off of JD5. Um, yeah,
I
Jeremiah.
hate to be boring, but I'm the same way. I think that he could take
Yeah.
this offense to a next level,
Mhm.
would take like you said, the pressure off of JD5, not seeing him take as many hits. You let your all-world running back do that, be really nice. It'll be interesting to see, what happens, what goes down here in the next few weeks. If there's any movement, if teams start to jostle around, if guys get traded. I know in division, A.J. Brown's a hot name. Could he be moved for a draft pick? There are all kinds of things that can happen between now and the end of April when this draft happens. The other bit of news I think that's left, uniforms.
Yes,
We
sir.
heard and we saw that they will announce new uniforms on April 15th.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people think they are going back or staying with the Super Bowl era uniforms that they wore, for 3 games, I think it was this past year. Josh
Mhm.
Harris, though, said, you know, "We got some stuff up our sleeve." That makes me a little I'm like, "Okay, what else does that include?" What are your thoughts and what are you hoping for when these new
Um,
jerseys
I am hoping for a little paying homage to the past, just so those people who still want the name can shut up and move and get on this Commanders train that's been here for over almost 5 years now.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I'm excited for that, but I'm also, like you said, Josh Harris said things up his sleeve. That just makes me anxious and excited to see what kind of new look they're gonna put on the old look of the uniforms. We saw a little bit of that last year. Loved the look last year. I thought it was great. I would be happy if they jazz it up a little bit more, and not so much go all the way straight back to Super Bowl era. Because yeah, that was a great time, but this is 2026 now. We can't live in our past. We gotta look forward to the future and live in the present. So hopefully they're sweet, like spiffy, flashy, like let's yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it was refreshing for me to see the old uniforms, but I agree. I think it's okay to move forward while still tipping your cap to the
Yeah.
past. I know that a lot of people have mentioned the spear. They've used it a lot in like branding and different logos and, you know, articles and things like that. So I
Mhm.
think a lot of people are curious if that's going to come back, whether it be with this uniform reveal or down the line. That I think that's the big wild card for me is it are they gonna incorporate a spear, go to that early 2000s when they had this what was it, the 70th anniversary,
Yeah.
with Champ Bailey, Daryl I have an awesome, spear jersey from Daryl Green's final
Mhm.
season, so I'm partial to that one, but yeah, I
Is
think that,
Spears
like
controversial though with the whole Redskins? Isn't that part of
that's kinda what I thought, but it seems like everybody's kinda like, "Ah, but it" it ties into a commander, and I'm okay, whatever. I'm not gonna be the police of
Yeah,
that, but,
me either.
I agree with you. I think they couldn't say it any more plainly that the name is not coming back. I
No.
think Josh Harris was a fan of the Redskins, so I think he's gonna always tip his cap to them. The
Yeah.
Redskins are the team that won the 3 Super Bowls, but you're right, we're going on 5 years. I mean, at the end of this season, it'll have been, I think, 5 years.
Mm,
2022 was when they came out with the Commanders. It's
yeah.
who they are. It makes sense. Commander in chief, right there in DC. It all makes sense. And I promise you, just like 2024, you start winning games, the name won't matter. And
Exactly.
and honestly, in a way, the look won't matter. I mean, we dealt with the uniforms when they were winning in 2024, whether you liked them or not. It didn't matter because your team was 12-5, won 2
Yep.
road playoff games. I mean, just win is really what I want to see from
Yep.
these uniforms. If it makes you play better, like, let's do it.
Right, cool, whatever. If you wanna coordinate your socks better and cleats better, cool, if we win games, I don't care what we look like. We could play in shorts and a t-shirt as long as we win games.
Absolutely. It could be bright pink
Yeah.
and mauve, I think is a purple
Oh,
color there. So, yeah, that's what we got coming up, man. It is April, it is spring, but that means that the draft is right around the corner. I know we'll have mini camps, training camp, and before you know it, the 2026-27 regular season will be here before you know it, and we're excited to bring it to you, man. The command post, Trev, Brian, we're gonna be here every step of the way, and we're excited to bring it to you guys. We'll get you all the links. We'll tell you all the ways to follow. You
yeah.
can hit us on Instagram and Twitter already. X, I'm sorry, not to be
I say Twitter all
so
the time
silly.
too.
Yeah, I do too. But those are our usernames there. Trev HTTC Beamer13. Follow us there. We're always talking Commanders. I mean, that's like 99.3% of my feed is Commanders talk.
Yeah.
So check it out there. We're really excited to bring you this season, the off
Mhm.
season, and everything in between.
Yes, sir. Good to have you, Brian. So this is step one of what's gonna the best yet to come. I can't even talk right. I'm so excited right now. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Also, we both have tickets to the draft party at Northwest
All right.
Stadium. Right. If you guys are gonna be there, come holler at us. We'll get you more information as we get closer to that. But we will both be in attendance for that. Should be a good time. It'll be my first one. I've
Yeah,
never
same for
been.
me. Yep. Yeah.
Oh man. So
Be a good time.
looking
It's always
forward.
fun to for me coming down from or coming up from Atlanta to be with,
Yeah.
local fans is always fun for me, so that'll be a good time. It's all happening, man. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes,
This season
sir.
is right here, and it'll be here before we know it.
All right. Well, until next time, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for tuning into the command post. I'm Trevor, and that's Brian.
See you guys.
Peace.